What's going on, guys? How you doing? As it stands right now, Mexico has still not made a deal. Saudis just cut the price on gasoline. But Nas on Twitter says that may be something to come, that Saudis say screw it and flood the market again. That should be interesting. If you have any questions, feel free to write them. I'll give it about a minute more, let some more people get on. All right, guys, let's dive into it. Mexico still has not come to the table. Who knows if they will? The Saudis have been getting upset about it. But Mexico has a very strong hand in their hedges. More importantly, the new field the Saudis are bringing on is I believe, a heavier crude that will go in direct competition with the Mexican Maya crude that they produce, their oil that they produce, which creates even bigger issues. Um, the hedges are important. On one hand, Mexico sends a lot of their oil to Gulf Coast ports, and that is down about, I think, 20-30%. So as everybody starts to fill up, uh, tanker companies are going to love it. Scorpio, I believe it is Scorpio Tankers. That's probably a good stock to own right now. Um, Everybody else is hurting. Storage is good. I believe Cushing right now is doing 50 cents a barrel storage, and they are up, I want to say, 8 million barrels just a couple weeks. It's crazy. ExxonMobil announced that they will be cutting their capex for the year to protect their dividend. Do you think their dividend is safe? Uh, no, I do not. When you look at cash on hand with Exxon, they're basically about as much cash on hand as EOG. Exxon doesn't have a lot of cash on hand. They're undervalued. Long term, Exxon will be fine. Me personally, uh, I think everybody should cut their dividend right now. You're giving out money that you desperately need. Companies like Oxy, people give me hell about it, but Oxy just signed up for, was it $30 billion in debt last year on the Anadarko. They're done. I can't see Oxy pulling out of this with that much debt. Just imagine, the interest alone on $40 billion in debt. That's a lot of debt to have. Their assets are almost all shell. Oxy has some conventional assets, but that will not be enough to hold them off. I think if you look at Oxy, they will do what Whiting did. Whiting had, I believe it was the North Ward field. It was a conventional play in the Permian. They sold that to try to create cash from when they bought Kodiak. Basically, same song and dance as what Oxy did. This is a shell killer. Make no mistake. These cuts they could be up to 15 billion, but we'll see. Mexico has the potential to completely kill the deal, and it's only 400,000 barrels. But the general consensus is if Mexico says no, then who else is going to back out of the deal? So that is a big factor as well. Great question, but no, I don't think the dividend is safe. If you guys aren't already on Twitter, get on Twitter. There's amazing information for OPEC. Seems like they just keep coming out with more and more stuff. Mexico on the hedges, I will be curious to see what happens though, because if they are in fact getting, the ministry said that they are hedged at $49 a barrel average price for the entire year. So them killing the deal pays them even more. And as I said, the Saudis' new field, I don't think this is an issue. I don't think they thought this far ahead, but the new field Saudis are bringing on will be a direct competitor in Asia with Mexican Maya oil. We'll see if that pans out or not. Um, Also, Epic Pipeline. You guys looking at that? Altus, which is a spinoff of Apache. Not only did they hold a big pile of shit being Alpine High, they also are supposed to be bringing on the Epic Pipeline that's moving a lot of crude to the Gulf Coast. If you go to the Epic Pipeline website, they just changed their fees again. They dropped them again, but it doesn't look like it's going to help them. I do not see Altus surviving this, considering they are very heavy weighted in gas and Alpine High. So Kinder Morgan also owns part of some of their pipelines, but I think Kinder Morgan is a little bit more insulated in that manner. Hi from Sweden. Thanks for joining. Conventional oil to invest depends on what you want. When you look at oil, do you want long term protection of assets? Do you want potential home run type scenarios? Conventional oil is going to start raising a premium because nobody is going to want to spend good money on shell. There's entirely too much water. So if you don't have water disposal assets, it makes the shell not so pretty, and thus a lot of people go to conventional. If you really want to go look, operators are hurting right now. Just get out Google and look for operators and see if they'll sell you a couple points working interest. It is risky, but as long as you understand the risk of buying production, you should be good. I'm looking at a lot of conventional right now. Me personally, I'm looking at stripper well production though. It's a lot more simple. Vending machines make more than stripper wells right now, probably, but long term they are good. Slow and steady, shallow producers got less headaches, things of that nature. With shale, water is going to be an issue long term for keeping costs low. Like I said, if you don't have injector wells, uh, that will continue to eat at you. Or even if you are like Ring Energy and you drill horizontal San Andreas wells, the water will continue to eat at you. I had to take a dig at them. Thanks for the like, whoever did that. I appreciate it. If you could like it, helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you'd like. Um, is there a site of oil companies I can use to find out about new oil producers and if a company is legit? Thanks. Generally, you want to go after the older producers. You're looking for assets that a company has that are not within their main area of operation. If it's not in their area and it's way over here, during times like this, they want to get rid of those assets and not mess with them. So they can condense their crews, condense everything down. So if you got a company that has a lot of assets in, say, the Permian, well, if they have some smaller assets in East Texas, they probably let the East Texas assets go. As far as checking them out, the easiest way is just to um, call around service companies. Typically, the Railroad Commission. You can check operators on there to see if they've done everything right. Um, Violations don't necessarily mean they're a bad company either. So make sure and read the fine print if they have any violations. Check for issues with their P5. You can always check their P4s, their gatherers to check, make sure everything's good as well. There's a lot of snakes in the oil and gas industry, but luckily, a lot of promoters are being put out of business right now. Um, the whole drill an oil well for 500 grand, but sell it for 10 million is over. Pump, I haven't really looked at them. Uh, Honestly, I wouldn't know what to tell you if you leave a comment for me, and I'll definitely check. I'll just write it down and I'll check it out. You're on StockTwits, I think. I'll leave a message on StockTwits for you. I did look at future fuels for somebody. I don't know if you know future fuels. A lot of their stuff is subsidy based within the United States. Europe just killed uh, subsidies for certain biodiesel. So, United States may be the last place to bring biodiesel. So, that could hurt them. I don't know if that helps you any, but do you think Centennial Resources Development with Mark Papa as CEO has a chance to survive? Uh, I don't think Mark Papa's there anymore. I think he's on the board, but I think they bought in way too late, and they're done. Centennial, um, honestly, it just I don't see them making it. Anybody that's moved into the Permian in the last 2 years is in trouble. Oxy taking all that debt on right before this is in trouble. This is like a global killer for oil, unlike the world has ever seen. This blows out literally every bust in history. So there is a wide range of companies that are going to be flirting on the edge. Um, there was a Wall Street Journal, I believe. There was a article just the other day talking banks are already putting together operating teams for when they take over assets because it's coming. Redeterminations. If you've got redeterminations, your company's in trouble. Mark Papa is a smart guy. He did the railroad in North Dakota. They bought up sand mines, all of that at EOG. But I don't even think he can pull Centennial out of this deal because they bought in the Permian so late and so expensive. All right, thanks, Jay. Yeah, I'll get back to you on pump. What is your thoughts on oil in U.S. versus Europe? Europe has a lot of environmental issues, and that is concerning to me. You're also competing with Russian oil and gas right there, as well as Middle Eastern. Uh, American oil and gas has a little bit of buffer, but in the United States, environmental laws between Texas and California are completely different. So you can pick and choose where you operate at. In Europe, I believe a lot of the rules run countrywide, and it's not near as easy to operate. I wouldn't operate oil and gas wells in Europe. They have tons of oil over there, but I wouldn't do it personally. I think they are definitely on the green movement. Great question. All right. Let's see. Under the sky, ring energy going down under question mark. It has 50% production hedged. Minimum $45. PV10 value seems a lot higher than the current market cap. Why do you think they're terribly bad? Ring energy, and you have to have an understanding of geology. Ring energy is going after a water driven oil play. They're not drilling in shale, they're drilling in a carbonate dolomitized type deal, and they are in the lower portion with the water. The simple fact is, horizontal is not going to get it done. They have yet to prove free cash flow, which means that the wells are producing enough where they can operate off the production of the wells. They paid $1,000 per acre on a lot of their acreage, from what they've said. That's not good. And when you look at their last acquisition, the Wishbone acquisition, they spent $300 million, and their production by December was was back down to pre-acquisition levels. So they spent $300 million. They have over $300 million in debt, $5 million in cash. Uh, they believe it's perfectly fine to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on separate offices in separate states for the CFO, CEO, and the president. I think that's a horrible idea. Dr. Kooks has lined out a lot of things. It's funny, me and him say a lot of the same things, but everybody calls me an asshole and an idiot, but we have a lot of the same opinions about it. I'm moving on to Oxy. I'm tired of Ring. Ring is done. I don't see their redetermination going well in the coming month. Uh, SunTrust has a lot of money in them, so they're going to be tightening up. By the way, those hedges that they did were because of SunTrust. They wouldn't have even done it had it not been for SunTrust. So hats off to SunTrust for at least trying to protect their investment on that. Um, Also, last thing on Ring, the Permian, where they're at, the Centurion pipeline also carries Oxy oil and everybody else going to Cushing. You could see major issues with that coming. So, all right, next question. Do you think this deal will be done? I honestly do not know because Mexico is not given an inch. Uh, the latest I have seen is, of course, it's like 7, 8 hours ahead there, but Mexico has still not made a deal, and the Saudis are pissed. The Russians are like, "Hey, everything's good," but the Saudis are like, "No, if they don't do it, then other people try to back out, and this is going to become a problem." So the Saudis may potentially go off the handle again to force everybody back to the table and truly force everybody to put pressure on Mexico. So you never know. But I believe a deal will get done, but it won't help. How about that? Um, in order to help, they literally need to pull 20 million barrels a day off the market because every day the oversupply is just flooding the market. And when you think long term, we have all this oversupply. Unwinding all that oversupply is going to take forever because you can't just send 20 million a day back into the market. It's going to be, 1 million barrels, 2 million, maybe up to 4 million barrels. But it is going to take forever for that. And like I explained it to a guy the other day, think of it like uh, beer. Why are you going to go to the store and spend more money on beer when you can just go to your fridge for beer you bought 3 months ago for half the price? It's the same concept with oil, and the amount of time it's going to take to unwind all that oil, a 10 million barrel cut is just not going to get it done. So I think a deal may get done, but who knows? Let's see. Noble Energy has operations in. mm, I can't say that in Israel. I'm not sure how to say it, so I won't. But uh, so diversified outside of U.S. I live in Colorado, where they are the top two producer in state. Noble, um, Noble also has a piece of that Epic pipeline. It was looking to be like a cash cow until what just happened. Noble. The only thing that concerns me about Colorado operators is that the people of Colorado literally can vote to stop fracking, things of that nature. When you give citizens the ability to vote to stop something, that is a very dangerous situation. Um, I think Noble long term is going to be just fine, but like everybody, they're going to have to cut back massively. Um, and just it's better to sit on the sideline with cash than burn through money. Alpine's a perfect example with Apache, where they just burned through billions of dollars on Alpine rather than just sitting back and waiting. Because I'll tell you right now, the guys that sat around with cash are about to be buying up all kinds of good stuff. So I hope that helps answer your question. I do have concerns about Colorado, though. I personally wouldn't operate there. How about that? Um, Oil rig jobs, bidding on a property. Yeah, did you oil rig job, did you email me? jpollard.gms@gmail.com? Because it sounds like you're in a special situation. Uh, 65 I don't know how much hectares are. And it all, check out mineralrightsforum.com. You can search by counties in that, and you can see what the general rate is going. For mineral rights acreage costs. Also, you have to factor in producing. Um, has there been production in the area? All kinds of stuff go into that. That's a lot trickier question. Um, that's not a straightforward question. Oil rig jobs. If you email me, I can possibly talk to you on the phone maybe tomorrow or something and really dive into that because I could spend an hour just on that one. Oil West Texas Intermediate on Monday. Depending on how these meetings go, and this is the problem with oil too. I'll say that this is the problem with oil is that it could go to 28, but it also could go to $8 because the Saudis are pissed right now, and that creates a big problem because if a deal gets done, it doesn't solve the problem of production. You'll have the pop of the deal, but it doesn't solve any issues. On the flip side, if the Saudis get pissed and say to hell with everybody, y'all get Mexico in line while we just flood the market, oil could go to 8. So I see oil going lower Monday. Having said that, it could go up, down. That is one of the biggest problems with the oil markets is war can send it through the roof and then the Saudis can send it through the basement. So that's one of the things you worry about. Um, I believe oil and gas will be a great investment 2 years from now after the bus is occurred? Absolutely. If you saw my other video, there's never been a better time to buy into oil and gas. The main thing is just making sure you're buying something safe. You literally have the opportunity right now to double, triple, quadruple, if not more, your money over the next 3 or 4 years. But it's risky like anything, and you have to do your homework on them. Let's see. Yeah, well, Colorado. Yeah, Colorado is risky. Um, Very risky state. The last thing you need is to be told, "Hey, you can't operate right next to wherever, and the potheads are happy, but by God, you drill an oil well so they can drive and get fertilizer. They get pissed. Uh, Centervest, 3,000 investment in Center. What is that? Oil rig jobs. What company is that? The single best investment, in my opinion, right now is buying oil wells, conventional oil wells with long life production. Because you think about it, people are storing all this oil. Well, some of the best storage is just oil wells with oil in the ground with long term production. I think that gives you the best bang for your buck, but it also gives you the most risk. So it's a 50-50. Having said that, I think 30 to 40% of publicly traded oil and gas companies are not going to be around next year. They will restructure. So pick your poison on that one. I personally feel there is no way how the day is not going to be completed as they too much into the deal. There is no going back. You never know. Uh, don't forget, they had a deal in line last time, and the Saudis got pissed, and we saw what the Saudis did because they were pissed at the Russians. That's what I was saying with oil. You never know. And the Saudis have definitely shown over the last couple days their frustration with Mexico. Me personally, I think Mexico should get everything they can out of this deal and stick it to them. So, if you've got the hedges like Mexico has, why not stick to them? You know, they have no reason to cut. Mexico actually, in a way, Mexico actually makes money if the deal falls through. So, precision drilling, if that's a drilling contractor, I would not own them. Um, Rigs are getting stacked left and right. I believe rig count dropped 100 rigs this week. It's an insane drop. I think our rig count could go all the way down to 150, 175, worst case scenario. But service contractors, Baker Hughes, uh, Halliburton, Schlumberger, they're all in trouble because they do not. They're not getting any business. Unless you are contractually required to drill and complete a well, you have no reason to be drilling and completing wells right now. Um, the only reason people are drilling wells is if, say, they went out and spent 20,000 an acre, and they've got to have they're going to lose the lease if they don't drill it. That's the only reason to drill a well right now. Or if you're in a farm out, farm in situation where you're required to drill so many wells to keep a lease, that's a reason to drill. Outside of that, nobody is drilling. EOG is stacked, I think, the vast majority of the rigs. A great piece of information, if you go on Facebook, they have roughneck groups that you can join, wireline groups, completion groups, all kinds of groups of guys that actually work in the field. And when you read them, you can see just how bad it is. Guys are getting shut down daily, um, getting put in the streets. So, it is rough out there, make no mistake about it. And service companies, they had already reduced margins so much after 2014, they really don't have anywhere else to go margin wise. Uh, E&P companies have just absolutely raped and plundered uh, oil field service companies and have made it to where they weren't really profitable that much as it was. Now they're just shutting everything down. Working for Precision next month. Best of luck to you, man. Save your money if you are, because I don't be impacted if they don't agree. There may be repercussions from nations importing oil from them. Uh, To be honest, the ones importing oil from, Mexico love the low price. So China, Japan, Taiwan, companies like that, or countries like that, they're not gonna embargo Mexico for it. Their problems lie with Russia, Saudis, and, they can get very creative on how to screw people over. Having said that, Mexico is, sticking to their guns, and I think Mexico should fight to get funding for additional development for Pemex, both offshore, etc., in this deal, which I think they can get because if they cut, oil goes up. Um, but it's very hard for Mexico to get investment, so this is a prime opportunity to trade. So, can we buy Oxy on Monday? Man, play at your own risk. Oxy's gonna go bankrupt. Maybe not today. They may go up 20, 30, 40%, but Oxy will go bankrupt. There is no way in hell you can carry that much debt during a time like this. This is the worst oil bust in the history of oil busts. Um, there's never been a bust like this where so much freaking oil was just on the streets. Never ever been a bust like this. So play at your own risk on Oxy. I think most oil companies still have a great way to fall, um, and the potential there is to get a lot of companies even cheaper than they are now. Well, that's cool. If you can get a job on a drilling rig, I'd be shocked right now. But I wish you the best of luck on it. Um, in Alberta. Oh, you can tell Alberta hi. Alberta garbage on Twitter. He's up there in that area. Engineer up there. Antero Resources, based out of Denver with an operation in the Marcellus, is a natural gas focused company that was traded in the 20s a few years ago, is now under a buck. Uh, Natural gas is interesting because you're going to see natural gas supplies start to come off, but the problem with natural gas is a major Russian gas field is coming online and hooking up to China. It's called the Amur project, AMUR, Amur project. It's also bringing helium online, but it is going to bring a massive, massive amount of gas to China, which I think could suppress markets even more. Also, Israel, Qatar, and the Saudis, all Australia is becoming a massive LNG exporter as well. Um, I'm not sure about natural gas. There's so much natural gas in the world. Why our cars don't run on that blows my mind. But yeah, great question. All right, guys. Anything else? We'll wrap it up. If you're on Twitter, follow me at Joshua Pollard. Please like and subscribe on here too if you haven't already. Helps me out a lot. But as always, my email is below my videos. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Going once, going twice. You too, Jake. Under the Sky, thank you too for watching. Uh, you're welcome for sharing. My pleasure. Hopefully, maybe start doing this every Saturday. Y'all hit me during the week on what you want to talk about, and I can do research for you and already have an answer for you if y'all like. If we can keep it going. So, yeah, for sure. Oil rigs. Yeah, send me an email and we can look at it because mineral rights are complicated. Plus, in Canada, there's all kinds of different rules up there for mineral rights too. May connect you with Alberta Garbage on Twitter. because he has a lot of information on that. He's actually an engineer up there. All right, guys, y'all have a good one.